Hey, Motor Man here. If you just wandered onto this channel by accident, I'm a motor officer instructor. I've been at it for over 22 years, now retired by the way, and I'm also the maker of the Ride Like a Pro video that teaches you the police motor officer techniques. Generally on this channel, that's what we talk about is the proper techniques to ride a motorcycle. But I also do road tests and I tell you about products I think you might be interested in. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video about the 5 most difficult to handle at low speeds heavyweight motorcycles. And boy, did that create some controversy. We're talking, physics. This is not something that I made up and people say, well, you just like Harley Davidsons. Well, the fact is that I don't get anything from Harley Davidson, nothing free. I'm not a big fan of Harley Davidsons, like some people say I'm a fanboy. But what it is it's physics. It's the wheelbase, the rake, and how far the handlebars turn from lock to lock. These are all things that you got to consider at low speeds. And it's not to say that other motorcycles can't do what the Harley Davidsons do. It's just, it's much easier to learn the techniques on motorcycles that are heavyweight bikes, but they handle very easily at low speeds. Now, I hear a lot of stuff from European riders, from the UK especially. I guess I got a lot of fans of the UK, but they tell me when they watch the class that I do that, well, they just have to do that stuff to get their license. That's nothing. It's a piece of cake. But the fact is, in Europe, in the UK especially, to get your big license, the one that allows you to ride any motorcycle, big bikes or whatever, it's 650cc bikes or larger you could use for that test. Now, I always tell them, let me see just one video of somebody taking that test and passing it on a heavyweight bike. That's a bike that weighs 800 pounds or more. Nobody has come up with that video. And let me tell you something. Take a look at this motorcycle here. This is a Triumph Bobber. It's 1200cc motorcycle. Handles very easily. In fact, when I go through the course on this motorcycle, it's almost like cheating because the bike is fairly light at around 500 pounds. I guarantee you this motorcycle is much easier to get through the course and to get your license on in the UK than this motorcycle that weighs right around 900 pounds. So don't tell me about passing your test and how easy it is, and the course that you see me doing, it should be very easy because that's what you have to do just to get your license. Well, the fact is, nobody has sent me a video of them taking that test on a Goldwing or any motorcycle that weighs over 800 pounds. Well, today we're going to do a video on the 5 easiest motorcycles, heavyweight motorcycles, to learn the proper techniques for low speed riding. Now, this is my opinion, but I've been at this for 22 years. I've ridden all kinds of motorcycles. In my course, if somebody comes with a motorcycle I hadn't ridden before, I make sure I ride it through the course so I can show the people that yes, the motorcycle is capable as long as you know the proper techniques. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the motorcycles that are easiest to learn the proper techniques, and I'll explain why. We're going to start with what I believe to be the easiest motorcycle to learn the proper low-speed techniques on, the Harley Davidson Road King. And you could pick just about any year. Photo there was of a 2021. Here I'm riding my 2019 Police Road King. It's the same as the civilian version, except it comes with the 114 motor instead of the 107. This bike is practically a dream come true on this course because it's got a 32-degree lean angle. That's very good for a heavyweight cruiser. It's got a 64-inch wheelbase and a 26-degree rake. They will turn in about, I think I've got them down as low as 15 feet or so, maybe even a little bit less than 15 feet if you're right on the frame. Of course, you got to know the proper techniques to allow the motorcycle to handle like this, but that's what we're talking about here. If you want to learn the proper techniques, why pick a bike that's very difficult? If you saw the video I did a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about the Goldwing and the DCT wing and some BMWs. It's not that they can't do these things. It's that it's more difficult to learn. Here we see little tiny girl. She's 4'10". This is Victoria Pierce McLaughlin. She hadn't been on a motorcycle in probably a year. And the day we filmed this video, this is from my Ride Like a Pro experience video. The day we filmed this, she just got on the bike and rode it through the course. Very easy to handle because of the fact that it's got a short wheelbase and rake. The weight really doesn't mean anything if you know the proper techniques. But if you want to learn proper techniques on a heavyweight motorcycle, why not pick one that's the easiest to learn those techniques on? Now, granted, the Electroglides and the Ultra have the same wheelbase and rake as the Road King, but they weigh 50 to 100 pounds more. So, top number one easiest heavyweight motorcycle to handle at low speeds, I would have to say, would be the Road King. Even two up, nothing to it. If you know those techniques, head and eyes, friction zone, little pressure on the rear brake. And if you normally ride with a passenger, you should know the techniques with a passenger. You should practice a course like this with a passenger on board. Here's the new Revival. I've got two of these motorcycles. And this motorcycle has actually a police seat and police handlebars on it. Now the seat is reupholstered and looks very nice, but that type of seat, even though it brings you up about 4 or 5 inches above the frame, it puts you a little closer to the bars. And with the police bars, they come back a little bit further than other Electroglides, so it makes this motorcycle very easy to handle. You've got a lot of leverage to turn the bars. That's my wife Donna, the first time on this motorcycle doing some maneuvers. And as you can see, she's a little bitty thing, I don't know, about 128 pounds, but she has no problem handling this motorcycle at low speeds, or high speeds for that matter. But really, anybody can ride straight down the road and make great big wide turns once in a while. In fact, that's what I tell people all the time. You call yourself an experienced rider. What are you really experienced at? You're experienced at cruising down the road, making great big wide turns and coming to a nice easy stop. What you're not experienced at is leaning, turning, and swerving quickly as in an emergency situation. And here's the Ultra. This weighs right around 920 pounds full of gas, maybe even a little bit more. And here's my wife on her Ultra. This is a 2017 model. As you can see, it does the exact same thing as the other motorcycles. Same wheelbase, same rake. Handlebars turn just as far from lock to lock. What you're seeing here is in slow motion. Notice how that bike transitions quickly from left to right. And that's what we learn in this particular exercise, because if you've never transitioned quickly from left to right or made a quick swerve, the time to learn that particular technique is not in the middle of an intersection when a car pulls out in front of you. A lot of people don't realize that most motorcycle crashes occur at or below 20 miles per hour. That's why low speed handling is very important. It's like you got to learn to walk before you can run. You should learn these techniques at low speeds, not at high speeds when rounding a turn at 50 or 60 miles an hour. Despite the fact that this bike weighs over 900 pounds, as you can see, even a little tiny woman can handle the bike with ease because she knows the techniques. Now granted, there are other motorcycles, adventure tours come to mind, weighing around 600 pounds, and they are actually much more maneuverable than Harley Davidsons, but we're talking about heavyweight cruiser type motorcycles. And in the Softail line, I think one of the easiest to handle would be this particular motorcycle. This is the Heritage, 64-inch wheelbase, 30-degree rake, and it's got about a 28-degree lean angle. It easily makes turns in less than 18 feet. Now, I've seen bikes like the Yamaha 1300, which is a cruiser. It weighs in probably around 600 pounds. This bike, I think, is 720, 725 in that area. But the Yamaha doesn't have near as much of a lean angle as this bike. I'd say closer to 24 degrees. And when you start scraping the boards at 10 or 12 miles an hour, it scares people when they're learning the techniques. And they tend to straighten up the bike and run right out of the exercise. On a motorcycle like this, you don't really have to worry about that. In addition, the Yamaha 1300, I believe, is a 66-inch wheelbase and a 32-degree rake. That makes it less maneuverable despite its lighter weight. Even the 2017 and early Heritage, the handlebars turn very far from lock to lock. You could actually go through the course with the motorcycle straight up and still make all the turns. Now here's a Lowrider S. The Lowrider S is another Softail model. And this is my wife. This is her first time on that particular motorcycle running through the course. But because she knows the techniques, this is an easy motorcycle to handle. Throttle response is very important. If your throttle is very sensitive, like you find on sport bikes or Goldwings or BMWs, and if the rear brake is very sensitive, it makes it more difficult, which is why I made the video a couple of weeks ago, despite the fact that it insulted some people. I don't know why. These are just facts. As you can see with this motorcycle, this one has a 30-degree lean angle, weighs in at just, I believe, just under 700 pounds. And again, very similar to the Heritage you just saw. In fact, all the Softails are very similar in the fact that the wheelbase is about the same as is the rake. And because the throttle is not sensitive, it's got a heavy flywheel. It makes it much easier to coordinate the clutch and throttle. And there's plenty of lean angle. And these bikes are very maneuverable. Get yourself a copy of the Ride Like a Pro Experience video. You'll learn all about the techniques, and please subscribe. Till next time.